All right, we're live. All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the 10 Horse Money YouTube channel, Tuesday night live. Man, missed last week, super busy. Glad to be back this week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. It's a big show. It's going to be a blast. We got the championship, the NPFL championship coming up at Lake Amistad. I was doing a little research just before we went live, just kind of checking it out. It's like it looks like there's a lot of bass club tournaments that still go on down there. So it's, still an active fishery as far as big tournaments. I don't know when the last really big tournament has been, but I'm super curious to see how things go down. So talk a little bit about what you're seeing out there as far as what the lake looks like and what the anglers are talking about and that kind of thing. Or is everybody grumbling, or are they feeling confident, or what kind of feeling you getting?
It's anglers grumbling, really?
No lies either, huh?
Dude, I'm going to tell you something. They'd catch 19 for 3 days, and it'd still be grumbling. No, look, everybody understood what we were coming into here. Lake Amistad, it's about 65 feet below. It's an Army Corps lake. But look, there are plenty of big fish here. This place is legendary in the bass fishing world for years and years. We got the top 26 on the NPFL field here represented. These guys are going to figure out what has been said around practice times. There's a ton of fish being caught, and size numbers have been a little bit limited, but guys are catching 8, 9, and 10 pounders in there. So Amistad will produce this week. I look at the lake, the acreage as far as the surface area goes on the water being down, but that just kind of congregates those fish and everything. And these guys can fish whether in the USA or on the Mexico side of the Rio Grande.
Nice. So you had the banquet last night.
Yeah.
And that sounded like it was a pretty good time. Everything went pretty smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. A phenomenal night. Great dinner. Todd Goad, our Progressive Angler of the Year, he gave a great speech talking about timing, talking about family, talking about discipline and hard work and stuff. And he's kind of one of those old school anglers. So you've, Todd Goad. I mean, he's up at the Missouri Invitational every year with Bass and Bob and all that. And Todd is just, we were going over some numbers last night, and I didn't realize this. And Luke Duncan and Fat Cat, they are guru numbers. But Todd last year, out of a possible 1,500 points for Angler of the Year points, he got 1,475.
Holy cow.
In his 2 years with the NPFL, 12 events, I think he's got 10 top 10s, maybe 9. But the consistency that he brings, the Tennessee Pro, is just unbelievable. And one of the stories I'll tell you about, he was actually one of the first 10 anglers that committed to us in 2020 for the 2021 season. And they were living in Georgia. They were getting ready to move to White Pine, Tennessee. His daughter was still in college, his last child. And he called me up and basically said, listen, the timing's just not right. And we announced him as one of the first 10 anglers, and it was a tough call. He mentioned that in his Angler of the Year speech last night. Fast forward to 2023 or 2022, everything gets settled down, gets his last girl through college. They build their forever home, and he comes out, fishes the first year with us, second year, kills it, wins Progressive Angler of the Year, makes our inaugural championship. So, sometimes people get down, hey, they can't do something, this, that, and the other thing, but that timing came down perfectly for him, and it just lined up. And, between his business with Pulse Fishing and other things that he's doing, his title sponsor, Safe Haven, the stars are definitely aligned for Todd Goad, and he's going to be a force down here at the championship.
Yeah, that's one thing that's real important with fishing, or just about anything in life. There's a timing thing. If you're trying to do something and there's other things in the back of your head you're thinking about all the time, you obviously can't focus on what you're doing. And fishing's like, you got to be freaking dialed in fishing. It's like there's so many variables. The conditions are always changing. You're on different lakes. There's different baits, different colors. There's so many things that you got to be thinking about. And when the timing is not right, you need to wait, So kudos to him. Obviously it was the right time to come in when he's just kicking butt like that.
Yeah, 100%. You said it perfectly before we went on the air there. These guys are out here tying up baits. I'm here with Stu Martell and Luis Fernandez, and you said, hey, don't get spun out, don't overthink it and all that kind of stuff. And I think if you keep it simple, that's what Todd did. Like you said, if you're going to make that investment, and it's a $50,000-$60,000 investment, you have to make sure, number one, you've got a good foundation. He talked a lot about his wife and how she's the glue of the family. And that's the culture here that we breed at the NPFL. But you have to have your mind on right if you're going to go out and compete against, 126 of some of the best anglers in the country, if not the world. And then to qualify for the championship, you're going up against the best of the best. One of those anglers is going to walk away with $100,000, but everybody's getting paid. But there's not one guy that I talked to that ever mentioned, at least I'm getting paid. Every one of them wants that $100,000, and most of all, they want that silver shield.
Oh yeah, it ain't about points today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's about game on, man. Going for it.
Yep.
That cliche. I hate even saying swinging for the fences, but that's what it's all about, man. It's just like you're going for it. You're
dingers,
going for
baby. Bambino dingers, like that swim bait that Stu just pulled out there. He's swinging for the fences for sure.
That's right. So, what was I going to ask you? Oh, everybody's fishing, like all 26 anglers. Everybody's good to go. No boat trouble, no sickies, none of that. Is it a go for everybody?
It's a go for everybody except for Ryan Satterfield. Unfortunately, his wife gave birth to a healthy baby girl, Sutton, last night. He was going to try to come up last night, but with the birth,
it's kind of a big deal.
Wife's side and everything, like, he made the right decision. I know he wants to be here. I talked to him. Brad's talked to him. He made the right decision. Be there for the baby, be there for the wife, be there for the family. So it's a go for all 125. Two Guys Marine is our technical support and our mechanical support here at the lake. So everybody's good to go. They're raring to go. It's just it'll be interesting to talk to some of the guys to see how much they sleep tonight, knowing that they're going to the first ever championship. And we're also proud. The other thing too is Epic Baits coming on as a title sponsor. So a big shout out to Dustin Perry, the whole crew over at Epic Baits for coming on and being the title sponsorship. And I will tell you this, I have never been to Del Rio before, but you talk about it's almost like Mayberry. Everybody is so extremely kind, polite. People just out of the blue will do something for you. I mean, it's almost a take back to the 1920s or 1950s, but it's a beautiful little town. It's a beautiful lake, and the geography around here, we're used to the Ozarks, and we're used to that Arkansas Ozark, those rivers and those lakes and all that greenery and everything. You come out here, man, and it's a scene from No Country for Old Men, man. It's hard rock and desert, man, and it really hards an individual out here.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I was going to talk to the anglers about, is like the topography of the land and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because
it's amazing.
Yeah. So we got a question on here. Is the championship live and streaming tomorrow?
Yeah. So here's what we've got tomorrow. So on Thursday, from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock, we're going to have 3 static cameras live stream off of our website. Just go to tnpfl.com, hit the live feed there. We'll have 3 cameras out there. Nick Brown is one of them. Little familiar with Amistad. He's a Texas pro. We've got Todd Goat, of course, a Progressive Angler of the Year. He'll have a static camera. And then Patrick Walters will also have a camera on the live stream. So basically what that will set up for the viewership on Thursday is those guys will be on the boat. There won't be any studio play-by-play on there. You'll be basically listening to the angler, watching him fish from that 8 o'clock Central Time to 1 o'clock Central Time. Now on Friday and Saturday, we're going to have 8 cameras, 5 live cameras and 3 static cameras. Those will be determined by the place that those individuals are after day 1 and day 2. So the top 8 will get cameras. Then we will bring in Luke and Fat Cat on Friday and Saturday. They'll do their studio broadcast from basically 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then we will live stream the weigh-in, and that starts at 4 o'clock Central on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be one thing that you guys have done this year that is really cool, and you did it a little bit last year, is integrating the graphs on the live stream. Is that something that's still going to happen over the next couple of days?
Yeah, so we'll have those capabilities as always, but I will tell you guys this, and we were talking about it before we went on the air. This is going to be an old school tournament, folks. There is not going to be a lot of graphing and scoping and that. This is going to be looking at points, looking at ledges, looking for timber. They haven't spawned yet. There's a possibility that they can spawn this week starting. They're kind of in a malaise right now, in between and all that stuff. But that water temperature is between 60 and 63 degrees in some spots. What's going to be fascinating about this event here, for all the negativity that's gone around there with forward-facing sonar, and like I said, hey, I love the electronics and all that stuff. It doesn't catch fish. You still have to understand how to utilize it. This is going to be old school jigs, chatterbaits. There'll be some big swim baits out there, but this will be old school. So for all of us people born in 1980 and before, strap on your boots. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, you got a bunch of people clapping out there. That's the buzz over the socials. Is a lot of people are tired of the forward-facing sonar stuff. But
now we're going to have those events coming up here. But I'm telling you, this one's you're going to take it back to the old days with the old school guys back in the 80s and 70s, where they're going to look at a spot and they're going to say, you know what, I think there's going to be some fish on this point or on this ledge or at this timber and all that stuff. A lot of the guys that I talk to, you get in there, you get a few wolf packs into that sunken timber and stuff like that. And it could be a heyday whenever you're throwing there, be either bumping a spinner bait off it or a swim bait or a jig or whatever it might be. But it's going to be exciting. So I definitely would tell everybody, when you're doing your emails on your one computer screen, put the NPFL on the other one and just watch these guys go to work on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
There you go. I'm going to be watching the whole time, man. I'm excited for it. We got several people saying that they're wanting to watch it.
TNPFL.com. Just hit the live feed right there on the splash page. It'll take you right to the live stream.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. Somebody's throwing shade on Duncan. He says, the only downside of NPFL Live is Luke Duncan talking. Dude loves some of himself. I love Duncan.
I'll tell you what, here's the thing about Luke and Fat Cat in that studio there. You got a good mix and match of breakdown as far as all the knowledge that Luke has in the studio as far as fishing goes. And, of course, Fat Cat has that too. But the humor part that Fat Cat brings to the production and everything like that, we couldn't be more satisfied with those two guys out there. They bring the excitement. They back our anglers. Here's the one thing that a lot of people don't understand, man. The amount of research and the amount of phone calls that these guys prior to the tournament to talk to the anglers to kind of find out what's going on, what techniques they're going to be using in order to put that in the broadcast. Hey, look, I've heard a lot of people say I'm long-winded. I'm a little bit too excited here and there. You got your naysayers. As long as it's 51% good and 49% bad, I'm good with it.
That's right. You just do your thing. Okay, what's the winning weight going to be? I'm going to ask everybody that's going to be on here tonight what they think the winning weight is in the top 10.
Okay, I'm going to give you the winning weight, what I think it's going to be, and then I'm going to have Stu Martell slip in here, and then I'm going to have Luis Fernandez slip in here, and he's going to also tell you. So if I had to guess what the winning weight will be for the Epic Baits NPFL Championship here at Lake Amistad, I am going to go 47 pounds. Okay, that's what I'm going to go.
That's 3 days. 3 days, right?
That's 3 days, 47 pounds.
Okay, what about the 10th spot? What do you think the 10th spot's going to be?
The 10th spot, I'm going to go with 33.
33. Okay.
But remember, everybody's getting paid.
It doesn't even matter.
Right.
Stu Martell, come here. Okay, the Chicago Pro right here.
Hey, guys.
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Winning weight.
Winning weight will be, I'm going to get some hate mail for this.
55.
It's good. And this is going to shock everyone here. Winning weight's going to be between 70, 75 pounds.
What?
Nice.
100%.
Did you hear? Hey, make sure that you get that locked in.
Let me just say,
Go ahead.
let me just say this. I'm probably going to get some more hate mail for this. This is my first time here, but I fish a lot of Great Lakes water. Saginaw Bay has built itself a reputation over the last couple years. This place is as fun as Saginaw Bay for numbers. There is just a ton of good fish, 2-pounders, 3-pounders to be caught here.
It's strictly largemouth?
By the end of this week, this place will be back on the map and people will know it's every bit as good as Saginaw Bay.
So, all largemouth.
All largemouth.
I got a couple smallies, but hey, you guys out there, remember, we're real close to the border, and the tequila down here is a lot stronger, man. Trust me. Lewis.
Right.
Lewis, winning weight, brother.
What's up, my dude?
What up, homie?
What are you up to?
I'm just chilling, dude. Just talking a little fishing, man. I'm just glad to be hanging out and not working tonight.
Right. So they're talking weight. I think weight is going to be anywhere from 18 to 19 a day, but it's not going to come like that. Someone's going to crack like 23 or 24, and then the second day they're going to crack like a 14 or 15 and come back with like a 15 or 16. You know what I mean? It's going to be that type of deal. They're not going to do like a 20 a day every day. If someone's going to crack a good bag, 22 to 24 pounds, and then day 2, they're going to crack maybe a 15 to stay in the hunt, and maybe the next day like a 15 or a 17. But I think 18 a day, 19 a day. So what's that? Like 57, 50?
Yeah. Between 7 and 6.
Yeah, but he sleeps with a teddy bear.
All right.
It's a good luck charm.
All right, here we go. So we got one last prediction of the winning weight right here.
All right.
This legend in California bass fishing. He is the mentor of his son right here, Luis Fernandez. Frank, come up here. Frank Fernandez came down from Grand Junction, Colorado with his ranch.
Welcome, Frank. Good to see you.
All right.
Tell him what you think the winning weight's going to be.
I think the winning weight's going to be, I've been on this lake 40 years ago, but I think the winning weight's going to be between 45 and, like Al said, 47, 48 pounds.
Okay.
All of us, though, are hoping that Stu Martell is right, though. Because I will tell you what, 5 pounds will be epic.
There's a big variance.
The guys that caught the big fish in practice, the 8-pounders, the 9-pounders, the 7-pounders, they're gone. They're not going to come back and eat a gut unless they move up on the bed. They move up, then it's going to become a slugfest.
So, Gabe, do me a favor. Talk to Frank about his days back in the 80s and 90s and the tournaments that he used to fish out there at Castaic and Clear Lake and the Delta in California. There'll be some good information before you put the other guys on.
So, okay, Frank. So what was that like back then? As far as fishing pressure and the size of the fish, the baits that you were throwing, just kind of, I don't know, kind of talk us through what it was like fishing back in those historic lakes back in the day.
I started fishing when I was 17 years old, fished my first semi-pro event. And then I continued fishing and became real good friends with D. Thomas, who was the flipping king, who invented the flipping technique. And D kind of took me under his wings and showed me a little bit about flipping and how to do it. And that was my moneymaker. And every lake I went to, the Delta, Clear Lake, Lake Mead, Lake Havasu, Mojave Lake, my money came throwing swim bait, flipping big jigs, the number 25 pork frog by Uncle Josh with a big black jig. And I toured for quite a few years. As a matter of fact, I didn't get to see my kids grow up that much because I was always gone. I was always gone fishing. And them days were good. And what was nice about those days, it was all here. All come out of here. What you learned, it was in your head. You didn't stand on the front of the boat and look down all day. I have nothing against that. I don't like it, but that's the new days. Baby. But old school fishing where you look at a point or pull into a river or pull into a bunch of trees and say, okay, this turns into sand, this sand turns into gravel. It's a transition point. There should be some fish here. You go and you fish, and sometimes you do good, sometimes you don't, but it was all up here. I didn't depend. When I started, I had a flasher, one flasher. It showed me the bottom and the top, and that was it. But, over the years, and then, of course, when Lewis got to be 3 years old, he was in my boat with me, sleeping in the rod locker when he got tired. And he was my favorite.
It's better than the live well.
Well, yeah. So I felt like putting him in there, though.
No. So one quick thing before you let us go. Frank fished here 40 years ago. It was full pool. We're staying at a house right here where the water would have almost been up to the backyard, and now it's all the way down. It's a couple hundred yards.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that's crazy to see.
Lake Amistad 40 years ago.
Oh, 40 years ago. My friend and I, Red Sanders, we left California. We toured the whole United States, and we came here after Lake Fork. And man, I'll tell you what, back then the trees, and they had a lot of trees on the shoreline, and boy, you pitch a jig in there and it's like, hold on, because it's boom, and 5, 6, 7, 8 pounders, like it was nothing. I mean, we wanted to stay. We spent 3 days here. It was so good. And when I came back now 40 years later and I look at the lake, I'm thinking, where'd everything go? You know, I mean, there's nothing. The lake's 70, 100 foot down. But you know what? The guys that are fishing this tournament organization, any one of these guys can win this tournament. Anyone. So good luck to all the anglers. Thank you for talking to me. And it's going to be.
I got one more question though. I got one more question.
Yes, sir.
When the flipping technique first started back in the days, was it kind of, did it upset some people? Because, you know,
it did.
Okay.
D. Thomas got on the what do you call it? The Eastern Trail, and he started with a 13-foot bamboo stick with line on it, just enough to reach his hand and enough line. They called it tule dipping. And D would, all these other anglers were out casting lures, casting jigs, worms. And D, I lost you.
Still there?
Yeah. And D would pull up to a tule bed with a 13-foot bamboo stick, throw the bait over the into the back of the tules, work the bait, boom, and pull out, 6, 7, 8 pounders. And he whooped them boys back east, and they didn't like that. So the laws changed. When he went with Fenwick, they changed it from 13 down to, I think, 11. And they still weren't happy, so they moved it to 8 foot, and that's where it stayed. The flipping sticks are now 7 something to 8 foot. But that was the flip master of the whole world. That guy was incredible.
Yeah, I've heard the stories. I heard how dominant he was back in the days. But
and you know what? Till the day he died, he'd sit up on the front of his Ranger boat in a chair, and they'd wheel him in the wheelchair to the boat, and he'd get up there, and he would flip sitting down. And what an amazing man!
Dude, just think of being and flipping like that and being the only one doing it. Oh my! And those fish have never seen nothing drop in that brush or those tules.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heaven, man. That is absolutely heaven.
Insane, dude.
Incredible. That's who I learned. He taught me, and me and Dee became pretty good friends over the years. And his technique made me a lot of money.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Well, we got Barron in the queue back there, so I'm going to bring him in a second. Say bye to you guys, Frank, Stu, Lewis, Big Al, man. Good luck tomorrow. We'll all be watching and rooting for everybody.
And here, I want to tell you, here's my
rock solid Fernandez.
Yeah, we get everybody in here tonight.
The drop shot, please.
75 pounds.
I like it. See y'all later.
Take care.
All right, let's bring in Barron. What's up, brother?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. That was some cool old school stories that was going down there.
Very cool. I didn't really know that about the flipping thing. That's the first I've heard of that. But that's
I remember I always hear stories about D. Thomas back in the days, and he started flipping, and he pissed everybody off because he was taking all their money. And I didn't realize he had like a 13-foot pole. And I guess that's why they limited the size to 8 foot instead of 13. They dropped it down so you can't get back in there quite as far.
Right.
But hey, do me a favor. You got a little bit of a static on your end. Yeah. Can you maybe close out the link and then just come back in on the link and see if you get a better connection so we don't have any static on the audio? Cool. Man, that was awesome. We got to get Frank back on here sometime. That was cool. So Lewis has been on here a while ago. Lewis Fernandez, he's fishing the championship. Really, really good dude. California guy. If you haven't checked out that live stream, it's pretty awesome. And Frank's his pop. So it's cool to hear somebody that, anytime you hear those stories from way back in the day, that's just cool. I know D. Thomas is actually, I was listening to a Ken Duke podcast today, and they were talking about D. Thomas, and they were talking about how, there's the forward facing sonar debacle right now. And then back in the day that the actual flipping was a thing that was making everybody mad, so there was a Randy Blockett back in the day that was complaining about flipping. So that controversy has been in bass fishing forever, but it's cool to hear somebody actually fished with him. And, those, like Lewis was saying, can you imagine being the first person to drop a a jig down a toolie line or just flipping mats, first person that punched mats and nobody else is doing it. That'd be absolutely nuts. We got a good crowd in here. JB's got I think he's got ball practice or whatever since it's Wednesday. So I don't think he's gonna be on here. So it'll just be me and whoever comes on here. But we got a lot of people in here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Phil said they had a tournament at Clearwater today, 9 pounds won. It sounds like kind of a tough tournament. I fished the Anglers in Action over the weekend and we absolutely sucked. I know Jay was there. It was one of the worst tournaments I've ever fished. We just couldn't figure it out. I mean, people caught them really good, but just couldn't get it all figured out. And that is the way it goes sometimes. All right, we got Barron. We'll bring him back in, see if it sounds any better. All right, we got you back.
Is that better?
It's still fuzzy, but we'll work through it. I don't know. You on your phone or a laptop?
I'm on a laptop.
Oh, you're on a laptop. Oh, that's weird. You just got some vibration.
I turned it down. Is that any better?
It's still there.
Really?
Huh. Oh well, we'll work through it, man. It ain't no big deal.
I can get on my phone. If I need to, I can get on my phone.
Yeah, you could do it on your phone. Maybe the phone would be better. I don't know.
Is it bad? Still bad?
Yeah, it's pretty staticky.
Let's see.
Sometimes it's just a weird connection, man. No big deal. I'm gonna kind of go through some of these.
Better?
Yeah, that's way better, man.
Okay, that's my phone.
Yeah, cool, awesome, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just start out with this is the first time we've ever met and first time a lot of the viewers on here have ever met you. So how about start out with a little background? Like, what do you do for work? Are you fishing full time or just a little bit of background information?
No, I don't fish full time. This is just basically my passion. I love fishing, but in the construction field, I build houses back in North Georgia. I live in a little town. It's pretty much right in the corner of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. So you can literally walk out of my door and be in any of those three states in less than 5 minutes. But so I got a construction business. We've been building houses there since I was 22 years old. So been doing it for a pretty long time now. Me and my best friend, we've had a business together since forever, really. So that's what I do for a living. This is fun. This is vacation to me. It's, I love it. I'm very passionate at what I do, but it's not my livelihood.
Yeah. So how's the market there where you're at?
The market where we are, we're basically like pretty much second home type place, So a lot of people from, say, Florida up to Atlanta, but we're starting to get a lot of out west people. Chicago, we just built and sold a house to a lady from Chicago, one from California. But we're pretty much the closest place in the southeast to get to like real mountainous town, So our elevation, I own a house right now we have for sale that's 3,400 elevation. So, we got great views, mountain views, long range views. It's a lot like if say Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge. We're basically like a mini Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, where we live.
Okay, yeah, because I've never been to that part of Georgia, but I have been to the Smoky Mountains. So
so the Smoky Mountains is, it's not far from me. I can be in Gatlinburg in an hour and a half, but basically it's the same type landscape, is what they have there.
Okay. Cool. So you guys got when did practice start for the championship?
Practice started on Sunday. So Sunday morning was our first start of practice. And it's changed a lot since then. The weather, Sunday it was cool Sunday morning. It was windy. It was till say 12 o'clock. Second day was kind of along the same lines. Yesterday was very warm. Like 90 degrees when we got off the lake, very sunny, slick, calm. Water's warming up. So, I mean, everything that you would think could happen in this tournament. Should happen. I mean, it could possibly be a lights out deal where somebody cracks them all 3 days. You know, we just left a dinner. We had a dinner with a bunch of the guys fishing, and we all put $5 in the hat guessing on what we think we would win. You know, I don't think it's going to take a big bag every single day, but the possibility is there. You know, we are at Amistad. There are giants that live here, so it could be crazy.
Yeah, I was looking at. I just did a little bit of research. I didn't have much time to do research on the lake, but I did find like a Toyota. Well, I guess it was a Costa back then, where they fished the Amistad. It was a Toyota series, and that's the one that Hanselman won. It took like 38 pounds for 2 days.
Yeah,
And then
I mean, you know, when we got here Saturday, they had a local tournament, so a lot of us guys went and just hung out and watched the weigh-in. The guy that won, he cracked him. He had 25 pounds, but you know, second place was like 19, 17, and you know, 13 pounds got a check. So if you look at over the past, say, 2 months, I've been watching tournament trails out here and stuff, and you know, somebody cracks them always. Somebody catches a good bag one, you know, the winner will, but you know, 10 to 12 pounds has been doing good for the last couple of months.
Mhm.
You can cut a check with that. So, you know, we've got 26 of the best guys in the country fishing. So I think that we're going to show out. This place is going to show out, and especially because of the weather, the way it's playing, you know, it's going to be windy. It's going to blow, but I think they're going to bite. You know, Saturday is the iffy day. It's supposed to be cooler that morning. High of only 70, 20 mile an hour winds. I mean, but somebody figure them out. We always do.
yeah. What about water temp? What's the water temp right now?
Water temp when we got here, it was, you know, high 50s, 58, 59. But I'm seeing it as warm as 67, 68. I know heard guys saying they've seen 70s. I have not. Most part of the lake that I've been in is 66, 67, which
Okay.
is perfect for them to pull up and spawn. You know, it could happen tomorrow. We could go back tomorrow where you caught 14, 15 inches. It could be 5-pounders on bed. You know, you never know.
Yeah, it's that time of year where it's so where I'm at, I'm in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, about 100 miles south of St. Louis, and we're looking at you know, like 50s. You know, it's obviously it's March, and there are going to be some fish that spawn, but down where you're at, it's time. You know, I mean, it could, like you said, they're ready. They're just waiting for whatever they wait for before they pull up. So, like you said, it could be totally. It's going to probably change through the tournament. You know, you might have to make a lot of adjustments during the tournament.
The winds here is going to be able to make the adjustments to catch. I think you're going to have to catch 1 or 2 big fish a day to win this thing. You know, I think I picked 51 for to win. Okay. I was thinking like a low 20 bag, a 16, and then you're going to have to maintain with a 12, 13 pound bag, somewhere along those lines, you know. But that being said, if these fish pull up like they could, it might take 65 to 70 to win. You know, but based on what I've seen in practice, I feel like if you can catch 1 to 2 big fish a day, you're going to have a really good chance of winning this, because getting a bite out here is not hard. I mean, you can literally catch 50 to 75 fish a day. And I never knew it, but this place is littered with smallmouth. They're small, but if you throw the right bait out there for like to catch a smallmouth, you can catch as many as you want a day. It's unbelievable how many smallmouth in this place. Now, I caught like 25 on the second day of practice. One of them was a 2-pounder. So, I mean, you can catch all of them you want to catch, but they're no size, you know. But that may come into the day that you have to maintain. You may have to go rely on catching a few little ones or something if you can bust a big bag a couple of days, because these fish are moving. They're on the move. And the way this lake is so low, I just don't think that you can sit on one place and just smash them for 3 days. I just don't think that's going to happen. The water is super clear, you know, so it warms up slower. Say, like, you know, if you watch the elite tournament, they're at Fort, they were spawning. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it got cold, they pulled off. Everybody smashed them out there on live scope. But this place, for whatever reason, is way far behind that. You know, the first day of practice, I caught fish that didn't look like they were ready to spawn. males and stuff. But the last day of practice, I started seeing fish with red eyes, and some were peeing and stuff. So I feel like it could happen at any moment. You know, it could happen.
You said live scope, so
Yeah.
that's always a popular topic nowadays. But do you think this is going to be a scope fest, or like Al was saying, he's thinking it's going to be more of a power fishing kind of pick your spots and grind it out type of deal?
I do. I don't think that. I know there's some really, really good live scopers that fish in this tournament, and you know, from what they're telling me, and they could be sandbagging a little, but I've seen one of the best live scopers in the country running the bank. So I don't think that live scope's going to beat us. It could, but I just don't think that it's going to. I think keeping your bait in the water and covering water and finding an area with the better quality fish and just figuring out how to get that 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 pound bite a day. That's how you're going to win this thing. Because you can literally, like, you can leave out of the boat ramp, drive across the lake with your eyes closed, pull into a creek or a pocket off the river and get a bite. It's not the bite that you want, more than likely, but you can get a bite.
Back to the smallmouth. Is there a chance of catching a 3 or 4 pound smallmouth, or do they just not exist? And how long have they been in there? Do you know?
I don't know how long they've been. I talked to a local guy, and he said he's seen 4 pounders wade in here. And sometimes, like years ago, they used to play some. Like he said, you could catch 15 pounds of smallmouth a day, but for whatever reason, they're little. Like they're 14-inch keepers that weigh 1.5 pounds.
Yeah.
For what I've seen, like I say, I have caught 1, probably 2 something, but that's 1 out of 40 that I've caught.
Yeah. What about getting around the lake as far as navigation? It's
pretty, it seems pretty easy. I run Lowrance graphs and have C-map, so you can basically adjust your water levels to 67 feet low. So I pretty much have everything set from 0 to 67 for a single color. And then I pretty much went through and just set up the next levels of colors. But as long as you pay attention to where you're at and, look at your graphs, it's not a hard lake to navigate. Don't seem to be.
Okay. I was wondering, because I always think of Texas, you're always thinking of Standing Timber like Fork, and or Sam Rayburn or
nothing like that. And what's wild, man, you can go into the smallest little gut off the river, which is, drained back in the day. But you can literally reach out with your rod, touch the bank, and be in 75, 80 foot of water. It's crazy.
Wow.
I never dreamed I'd be in Texas and see water this clear and this deep.
What's do you feel, so there's the Mexican United States thing,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you feel about that? Do you feel like, are they saying anything about it's okay to fish on the other side of the lake, or?
Yeah, I'm going to Mexico. I'll start in Mexico tomorrow.
Okay.
So, I've been over there every day of practice, and I haven't felt not safe. I haven't felt like, hey, I need to get out of here. Now, I did go into a place that was way, way back off the beaten path in Mexico, and I actually seen a dead cow on the bank, and then I seen some of the Mexican cowboys, I guess they are, or whatever they are. I don't know. They were sitting on a horse, just kind of scanning the area, watching me and stuff. But that was the only little fishy area I was in. But the bad thing is you got no cell service in there, really. So you get over there, something happens, you break down or something, you're not calling nobody. There's hardly any service once you get on that Mexican side. So, but where I've been, no, I don't feel unsafe or insecure or nothing. So I feel like that the whole lake is wide open. I feel like I can go wherever you want to go.
Good. Yeah, Bass Fanatic said it's perfectly safe. Sounds like he's a local.
Yeah.
He was talking about the smallmouth.
It seems fine to me.
Yeah, that's cool. What about like forage base? Is it just shad? Is there tilapia? What are they eating down there?
They have tilapia. I don't think it has the tilapia it used to have back in the day, but yes, they are still here. And a lot, on the Mexican side, that's basically what those fishermen over there are trying to catch is the tilapia to sell,
Mm-hmm.
They nets all over that place on the other side. I haven't hit one, but I know guys that have got them wrapped up in the props and stuff, but I haven't run into that yet. So yeah, they do have that. There's a lot of shad. I mean, I'm sure they're eating crawfish. It has bluegill in it. It's slap full of bait. Like, you can be on a point and look at your forward-facing sonar, and there's bait everywhere. I mean, there's stuff to eat. It's loaded with white bass too, so they got plenty to eat here.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm excited to watch all 3 days. Oh yeah, Andy says no service in Mexico.
No.
How come they all have phones? Whatever that means.
No, there's like, you get over there and there's places where your phone will say SOS. So, you have a problem, you're just at the mercy of whatever you can do to get yourself out of there if you can't see somebody or get a hold of somebody, somehow.
Yeah. So do you got a starting spot?
I do. I caught like a 4-pounder the first morning of practice, and that's probably where I'm going to start, just to see what happens. And then, basically after that, I'm fishing, man. I'm down here to have fun. I want to win just as much as anybody here, and I feel like I can. But I'm here to have a good time, to catch fish, to keep myself in the game. So tomorrow, I plan on, if I can get to that 16, 17, 15, somewhere in that ballpark, I'll be happy. But, then I might try to swing for the fence and do something different. I don't know how it's going to go yet. But, yeah, I've got a place I'm going to start. I'm going to start out cranking. And if it goes good, hopefully we can catch a couple, because I know I can go catch them another way, So getting a limit of fish, I don't feel like it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be getting those better quality fish. That's going to be hard to do.
The good thing is you got 26 anglers, so there should be plenty of room to spread out. Does it feel like it fishes, big or normal? Or
we have 26 anglers, which is a small field, you would think, but like the last day of practice, I kind of sat and watched the place that I want to fish, and I've probably seen 10 of the 26 anglers in there. So
Everybody always finds the juice spots, man. That's just how it is.
You got to put your head down and go fishing. You can't control anything like that. I did draw boat 3, so maybe I can get to where I want to start first before anybody else and pick 1 or 2 good ones off, and then we'll move on. But you can't control those things. You can't control whatever the other guys find, and pretty much if you find something and you're fishing with a crew like this, and somebody else don't find it, then you're probably not on the right juice anyway.
Yeah. Couple questions. Darius has a question. This is a good one. Do you have to have a special license to fish in Mexico?
Yes, I had to buy a Mexican. I bought a 7-day. Well, actually, I bought a year pass because it's actually cheaper than a 7-day, which makes no sense. And when I bought it, it was 570 pesos, which is like $32 or $3. So yes, we did have to buy a Mexican license.
Is that good for all of Mexico? Do you know? Or is it just like the county or the state?
I don't know. I went to the local old Ranger dealership here. It's called Amistad Marine. And she done everything for me, handed me my license. So
yeah,
I'm guessing it's good for all of Mexico. I doubt saltwater, but anything fresh, it should be good.
You don't want to wind up in a Mexican jail. I'm concerned about you. Make sure you got the right license.
I feel like if they get after me, I'm going to America. They'll have to catch me. As long as something don't break down, they ain't gonna catch me.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, you start fishing around the whole United States, and I buy a Missouri license, an Illinois license, a Kentucky, a Tennessee, and I've bought Minnesota license in the past, but I don't think I don't know if I said Kentucky or not. But anyway, just I don't fish a whole lot of tournaments. I fish in BFLs and stuff, but that's like 5 licenses. But somebody like you, you're in Texas now, you're going up north, you're all over the place. It's crazy the amount of money you have to spend on a license.
Yeah, we have to buy a lot. And then some places, say, when we go to Hartwell, which it's it's a border lake between Georgia and South Carolina, but as long as you have Georgia or South Carolina, it supersedes. So like some places I know you have to buy both states, or just like this one to go to Mexico, you have to have a Mexico license, you know. So
Yeah. Well, that's like Pickwick. You know, you got Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi, and then Bull Shoals. I was just down at Bull Shoals not too long ago. As long as you got a Missouri license, you can buy the White River Pass that reciprocates through, you know, Arkansas, and Table Rock's the same way. Part of Table Rock goes into Arkansas, but as long as you've got that White River Border Pass, I think it's what they call it. It's like $10, but it keeps you from having to buy, you know, the other state's license.
in my hometown, where I live, or pretty much my hometown, but Lake Tattoo, which is in half Georgia, half North Carolina. If you put in on the North Carolina side, you can keep fish smaller than what you can if you put on the Georgia side, which is weird.
Huh.
But as long as you have a Georgia license, you can fish North Carolina or Georgia, or if you have a North Carolina, you can fish North Carolina, Georgia. But say you put in a North Carolina, you can keep a 12-incher, I think, or something, but the Georgia has to be a 14. So it's kind of weird.
Well, like, so on Kentucky Lake, on the Kentucky side, like if you run up, a lot of people will run up to Bark. Let me see.
Yeah, go to Bark.
Let me start over. If you're in Tennessee on Lake Barkley, the smallmouth have like an 18-inch limit, but on the Kentucky side of Kentucky Lake, it's like 15. So for years in the BFL, hardly anybody could keep smallmouth. You know, but now they've changed it to it's, you know, you can keep spots, largemouth or smallmouth. They got to be 15 inches, which it's kind of an honor system, I guess, if somebody was to run all the way. But I don't know why you would make that run now, because there's so many smallmouth in Kentucky Lake now that you don't have to make that run to catch the big smallmouth. Yeah. That place it's amazing the amount of smallmouth. We're going to find that out here in the next couple of days because they got a pretty good sized tournament down there.
So like Chattooga, we're talking, you know, like every tournament we fish there, it's not, you can't go to North Carolina and bring, it's always, they've made it where it's 14-inch size limit, period. No matter where your tournament's going in and out of, has to be a 14-inch size limit, just because of that simple reason. You know, it's just so hard to police where somebody caught a fish. So
yeah, Darius says Michigan license was $76 for the year. Pretty stiff.
Yeah, the only time I've ever like been outside of the United States waters like I am here is when we were at Sandusky Bay, like in 20, I guess it was, during COVID. And basically they told us, because a bunch of us were running to St. Clair, and you have to go through Canadian waters to get there. And the border was off limits, and basically the tournament directors told us, hey, y'all can't stop. If you get checked, you know, if somebody gets after you, we can't help you. So if you run to St. Clair and you go through Canadian waters, you basically at your own risk. But other than that tournaments, this is the only time I've ever fished where you can actually go out of the country in the water, it was pretty neat. You know, I've never been to Mexico, and first thing Sunday morning, that's the first cast I made was in Mexico. I just wanted to do it, you know, so it was pretty neat.
Yeah, that's cool. I've fished Canada one time. And that was when I was a kid. My dad took me up there.
Every time I'm up there, like I say, I was there in COVID, during the COVID year, and you couldn't go across the border to fish. Like if you went to St. Clair, you couldn't go to the Canadian side of St. Clair. So I did have to run Fort River, but I've never been anywhere like this place. It's a border place like that. It's pretty neat though.
Yeah, they had that they had that thing locked down, man, during the COVID days. I fished we went to Glacier National Park, and every time I go to a different state, I always want to fly fish. I like to fly fish too. Yeah. And when I got there, they wanted, I think the Montana license was it was a stupid amount of money. It was like in the mid-70s. And I was just catch and release. I was gonna fish right off the back of where we rented. We had like an Airbnb or something, and one of the rivers ran right through the backyard, and it was high. There wasn't a lot. I couldn't wade. There was a little strip on the bank where I could fish, and all I wanted to do was go down there and fish and just catch some fish and throw them back. I wasn't going to keep them. I was only there for 2 days, and I think a 3-day pass was like $35 or something. And I just ended up going down there and fishing because I knew I wasn't keeping them or anything. But sometimes it's like when it gets too expensive, it turns people off from actually fishing. Especially if you're they should almost have like a catch and release license and an eat license, but then you'd have to manage that. It'd be something that'd be hard to manage.
That's a whole nother story to try to get into that, So if you like fly fishing, you'd love to come to where I live because we got some serious like trophy trout fly fishing goes on where I live.
Really?
A lot of big browns, a lot of big rainbows, Nothing like White River stuff, but we have some serious good fly fishing.
Oh man, I love it.
When I grew up when I was a kid, so back then in the early mid 90s, there wasn't a whole lot. Like we had one lot at McDonald's basically is all we had in my town. So when I grew up, man, we would literally stomp every creek in that daggum country out. And now it's changed. So like everybody wanted a house on the creek or the river, so it's all private stuff now. So, but dude, when I was a kid, you might get into a creek and catch 100 trout a day or something. It's changed a lot to where now it's more, recreational. So like they'll have certain spots where you can go fish where, that are not private and things like that. But before all that happened, you could smash the trout where I live and stuff. It was so much fun. I don't really do it more just because I don't know, I've got out of it, since I got 16 and got a bass boat, I kind of got out of the trout fishing thing, but it's still a big deal where I live. A lot of great trout streams up there.
Cool. We got Hunter in the queue there, so I'll bring him in here in just a second. I wanted to ask you one more question. If you had 2 hours to fish and you could catch them on anything, what would you be throwing?
On this lake or just in general? 2 hours?
Anywhere, anytime.
Anywhere, anytime, I'm throwing a rattle trap.
Rattle trap.
In the dirt, and I'm not looking at them, no live scope, none of that stuff. Either in the dirt or some grass, and I'm cranking a trap.
What color are you throwing?
Red.
Yep.
Red.
That's one of my weaknesses, man. It's one of my weaknesses because I'm always throwing like a bladed jig or a spinnerbait, and I always start out with that, and I usually end up just catching a few on it, and I just keep going with it. I keep saying every year instead of putting the bladed jig and a spinnerbait in my hand, I'm gonna put a lipless.
Well, that time of year, on that thing, the lipless bite's just as good, but it's a confidence thing, like literally I feel like if they're on a trap, I can fish with anybody in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Any lake, anywhere, if they're on a trap. But here's the only other bad thing about a trap. They might bite it today, and then tomorrow you might not get a bite on that thing. Like it'll change overnight. So we was at Logan Martin. Practice was unreal for me. Water was 45, 46 degrees, and I was crushing them knee deep on the trap. And for whatever reason, the water warmed up, and you would think that they would just stay back there or more would come to it. They pulled out into the channel when it warmed up, and I could not catch them on the trap no more. I know guys that did, but for me, it didn't work, I don't know if I was just fishing a little bit shallower than what they were, the guys that were catching them on the trap, but I like fishing them a trap shallow. I like catching them in the dirt on it.
Yeah. That happens a lot at Kentucky Lake too. They get on those shoals and people will, like 3 foot of water, they'll just go rough.
So in 2018, I guess it was probably, I fished a qualifying tournament that qualifies you fish the Bassmasters team championship thing, and you fish like 150 guys get invited to it, so it's a 2-day deal. The last day, the top 3 teams, they split you up in singles, and you have to fish against whoever you're fishing with, plus the 3 or 4 other guys. But long story short, we smashed them on a trap in that place. That's just what I love to do. But that's how we caught them there on Kentucky Lake.
Heck yeah, man.
It's like 5th or somewhere in that ballpark, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But on a lake and it's the right time of year, that's all I'm like. Give me one rod and one trap. I'm good.
Gotcha. All right, man. We're gonna bring Hunter in. Good luck to you. Be
Thank you.
watching the standings and stuff, and hope you're right up there at the top. And I'll be talking to your roommate here before too long. So.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity to go here and talk with you. Have a good time.
All right, man. Good luck to you.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
You too. All right, let's bring Hunter in. He's been patiently waiting in the background. What's going on, buddy?
Hey man, how are
Can you
you?
hear me? I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yes.
Thanks for waiting back there. I get to talking. I saw you. I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, okay, we gotta. But you know, it's like you talking fishing. It's hard to quit talking fishing.
I know it's like trying to load the boat on trailer, and it's hard to quit.
So how's things going down there? You how you feeling about the Derby tomorrow?
Man, I don't know. I hope I find them during the tournament because I hadn't found them yet.
Yeah. Well, you're optimistic
Yeah.
though.
It
I saw
right.
I saw a picture on Instagram though. You were holding up a pretty good one.
Yeah, I caught a 7.5, but that's the only one of any size I've caught. I've only caught one other female, and it wasn't very big.
Yeah. Well, do you got a starting spot?
I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna make it up as I go.
Yeah.
I want to fish where I caught that big one. I think it was a through there. Point.
What boat? What kind of draw did you get? Did you get an early boat number?
Yeah, I'm 10.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, there's only 25 people fishing, so it's not like everything's going to be covered up.
But yeah, it won't be bad. I just got to figure out where I'm gonna fish new water. Just keep looking, man. I don't know. It's the bigger bites, I guess, are random, or I hadn't found them, or I don't know. I know the water's warming up. The nights are warming up. It's like it could go down at any time.
Yeah. So like what Barron was saying, it's not going to be a problem catching fish. It's just trying to catch a good fish.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some guys caught a lot more keepers than I have. I really hadn't caught that many keepers, and a lot of them 14 inches. But I mean, I think that'll change. I also hadn't tried real hard. I've looked for some really off the wall winning type stuff.
Yeah. So I was talking to Al a little bit about this, but like the topography of the lake, is it got actually the cover? What do you got? Do you have is there grass? Is it just standing timber, rocks? What's the makeup of the lake?
So I'm sure that there might be a little grass somewhere. I hadn't found any. If it is, it's very sparse. There's not a lot. And those that find it will, I'm sure. But it's mostly rock. There's, I guess, like the mesquite trees. I guess I don't know what the bushes are called, but they're 50 feet up on the bank, and they're all the way down 20 feet underwater still. Not a ton, but you find them. But I hadn't found really anything in the wood. It's all been rock related.
When that lake comes up, it's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, it'll be good.
Yeah. I mean, that's, everything goes in cycles, right? And one of the best things that can happen is a lake gets down low for 4 or 5 years, and then all this brush and stuff grows up on the bank, and then it comes back up and it stabilizes, and it stays at full pull for 3 or 4 spawning cycles. And then, then the lake it's just wide open. It can be one of the best, the best lakes in the area for sure.
That I heard you talking about Bull Shoals earlier. That's one reason that those White River chain lakes up there are so good, is because they're normally high during the spawn, and they're just so full of fish.
Yeah, we were there. I've been fortunate to get down there 3 years in a row. So this was my third year, and my buddy Dale Colvin is a guide down there. And that's who I get to fish with when I go down there. And he's where we launch at. It's hard to imagine, but he's telling us that a couple years ago when the lake was up, 30 feet, that you couldn't even launch in the parking lot where we were at. And you stand in that parking lot, and the boat ramp it's like 100 yards down the hill down there. And you're looking and you're like, there's no way that water got up that high. And he says, yeah, you see that sign over there? There's a sign next to the boat ramp. He's like, I flipped a 4-pound smallmouth off of that sign. You're like, what? It's unbelievable to see that and just to try to visualize the lake being that high.
Yeah, man. I mean, so I'm an Arkansas guy, so the Ozark Lakes are no stranger to me, and they fluctuate so much. We've got, I fished Bull some, North Fork, but we've got Greer's Ferry, it's like as southern as the Ozark type lake gets, but it's still an Ozark type mountainy lake. Looks a lot like Bull and Table Rock. And, we've caught them off like picnic tables and stuff up in campgrounds, and then it'll be low and you're fishing rocks. It's all over. Like it fluctuates, and fishes. You'll catch them on roads, gravel roads, up campgrounds and stuff.
Yeah, that's funny. You get. I remember one time fishing the Ohio River, over there at Galcon, Smithland Pool, and we got along. We was fishing a little. I think it was either a USA Bassin tournament or I can't remember what circuit it was. This is years ago, man, and we got on a little kitchen appliance pattern. We was just running up and down the river, and we see an old refrigerator. If it had 2 foot of water in it, we'd flip on the back side of it and we'd catch it. We'd catch a keeper, and we'd find a stove laying there. It was like, and there were boat ramps too. Like, so the downside of a boat ramp in a kitchen appliance, I think we filled out a limit just by running around and looking for that stuff.
Hey, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah. So picnic tables, whatever's in the water, fish are going to jump on them.
I can assure you there'll be no picnic tables in the water here.
No, there won't. Is there anything that you have fished in the past that reminds you of this lake?
Actually, Greer's Ferry. It kind of, if you take a lot of the buckbrush away, Greer's or even Bull or something, it's similar. Real rocky, real steep, very similar. Okay.
Well, that's good. Good to have some sort of reference, something where you can look at the bank and say, hey, I've caught them here before on my home lake or on a lake I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I wish it was a little colder. Like I like those, further out, late winter, early pre-spawn. We're up in the 60s now. These fish, if they get up there, it'll be fun. But they're kind of in that funky. They're not out there deep, I don't think. But they're not really up there just flooding the bank, the good ones yet either. And it's hard to figure out where they're at.
Yeah, this can be a tough time of year. It's like sometimes like back home where I'm at. I fish over in Southern Illinois a lot, and a lot of people that are on the stream are familiar with these lakes. But what happens sometimes is the water temperature will be in the high 40s, 48, 49. And then we'll get like 5 or 6, 7 days of weather like what we've been getting, where it's been in the 60s. And heck, we had like 78. It touched like 80 here the other day. But you get a really good warming trend, and that water will jump up to like 57 and 58. And you think you're just going to go and crush them because it's, the water jumped up that high, and they're just going to be up shallow. They're going to be stupid. And they're going to be eating everything you throw in there. But there's a little bit of delay a lot of times, at least around here. So many times I've went to the lake, and as soon as I dropped the trolling motor, I realized that the water temperature has jumped up like 8 or 9 degrees in a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I'm just going to crush them. And the bite's been really slow. It's like the length of the day has a lot to do with it, just as much as the water temp. So you're thinking they're up there, they're getting ready to make beds and stuff, but they're behind your boat out there in deeper water. Sometimes that's the thing about fishing, man. It's like there's so many different variables, and you think you got it figured out, and it throws you a curveball.
Yeah, for sure, man. The first day of practice, it was in the upper 50s here. And those fish were set up like I wanted them to be out, a little bit looking out more on the scope. Like they were out there a little better. And then as it's warmed up, you can tell they've kind of dispersed. They're not out there floating like they were. And, I mean, I know we're a couple weeks out from next moon, I think, 2 or 3 weeks from next full moon. But, like, it's coming. I don't know if it'll happen while we're here or not. But it's this place down here. I mean, we're talking now mid-60s across the lake as of Tuesday, as of yesterday. And then a whole nother warm day today. We haven't been on the water. So it's very close. Like it's very, very close that it just blows wide open while we're here.
You better answer this question wisely. It says, Hunter, who's your favorite MC?
Big Al.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer. Stephanie says, do you fish in NPFL full time?
I do. This is my 2024 is my 4th season.
Okay. Yeah, Al says anglers always tell the truth.
Hey, Al's my favorite MC if he makes it to the weigh-in stage, but he might be out of gas on the side of the road somewhere, so you never know.
I saw that. He's keeping it real, though, man. If you're man enough to run out of gas, you got to be man enough to post it on social media and own up to it. That's just, we've all been there. Hey, I'll tell you something. On Brock Bila. I was fishing the Anglers in Action Sunday, and we put the boat on the trailer. We were just ready to get down there. We had our tail between our legs. It didn't go right. But we were strapping down the boat, and I look over then the parking lot, and Brock Bila's over there. He can't get in his truck. He had, I don't know if who had left the headlights on in the morning after they dumped the boat in, but the battery was completely dead. So his remote door unlocked didn't work. And he thought that he had a key. Some of those you can pull it out and there's a key inside of it, like a safety key. Well, he thought that that's what he had. Well, he didn't. So he was just sitting in the parking lot waiting for the guy to show up with the little Jimmy tool to get his door unlocked. So yeah, people run out of gas, people leave their headlights on. It all happens in fishing. It's part of it.
Hey, I fished a team championship several years ago at the house, and my wife came to the weigh-in, and they gave us a bunch of stuff, and like they give you these bags for showing up, plus 1 bags with our prize and whatever. We had all this stuff we dumped out on the boat. Me and my partner were splitting it up before we could leave, and Andrew and my wife was sitting there. And anyway, my partner left. Well, we had dumped it on his boat or something. I don't even remember whose boat we dumped. Anyway, my wife left my truck keys in the boat we had dumped all this stuff on, and I didn't know it till everybody was gone. I got my truck thinking my keys were still hanging in the ignition, and I didn't have any keys to get home. I had to call one person to come pull my boat home and another one to take me home. I took my boat to my grandparents, and I got a ride home. I was like an hour from my house.
Yeah, I know. So that's funny. I always think about that because a lot of times when I'm dropping my buddy Mike off, we fish Lake of the Ozarks a lot, and we stay at the 26-mile marker, and we'll pull out the boat at PB2, which you've been to Lake of the Ozarks. You're probably familiar with that, but it's about it's a 15-mile run or whatever, something like that. But that really doesn't matter. What matters is that when he dumps me off, I'm in charge of going up there and getting the keys, and I think are getting the truck and pulling it down. But a lot of times I leave the keys in my tackle bag. Basically, what I'm getting at is I got to make sure that I've got the right set of keys before he leaves and does whatever, or I'm going to be high and dry out there in the parking lot looking stupid. So you got to keep track of all that stuff. So what do you think is going to take to win tomorrow? Or not tomorrow, but the tournament.
like I coming into it, I've seen catching some 20s down here, but I really thought like 18 a day would win it. Just consistency over 3 days, because I feel like down here it's going to consist of like an 8-pounder along with some decent fish to have a good day. But I don't know. With the weather setting up, it might take 20 a day, maybe. I still think it'll be that 18, 19 a day range when it's all. I think somebody's going to catch like 27, but then they catch an 8 and a 7, and then have some other with it or whatever. But I don't think they can do that 3 days in a row.
So you're going with 57, 58?
Yeah. 50, 55, probably more like it.
Okay.
I think.
I'm just writing this all down just for the heck of it. What do you think it's going to take to hit the top 10, like the 10th place? What do you think that's going to be?
I think it will fall from first. This may really prove how bad my practice was. I would think like 12 and a half, 3 days in a row. Would that be 30, 37? I think that'd be top 10.
Okay.
Like it's 37, 38. 10's almost half of us, so it's not like there's a bunch of us here, but I may be way off, but just the 2.5-pound fish seem like they're a lot harder to find than a 1 3/4 or 2-pounder. So I think if somebody averaged at 12.5 a day, it'd be close. He'll probably be like last, and I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Very high possibility.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll catch 70 pounds. A small amount. That'd be even shocker.
Oh, yes. I am really.
Well, I got Nick in the queue, and I know you guys are probably ready to get to bed or just relax before the Derby. So I'll let you slide out. But let me ask you one more question. This is something that I asked Barron a while ago. If you had 2 hours to fish and you could fish with any bait you wanted to, catch them any way possible, what are you going to be throwing?
Hollow body frog.
Nice. I like that. Hey,
Make it fun.
It's about that time. You know what? I'm going tomorrow, and I'm gonna be taking one. I took the frog. So what I do is I put the jerkbait box in my boat, and I take the frog box out of my boat when it gets like late December. And then the first thing I usually do is I kind of take a lot of the jerkbaits out, and I put the frogs in. So I think the frog box. I'm still gonna leave some jerkbaits in the boat for sure. You always gotta have some jerkbaits in the boat, but I'm gonna take the 3 or 4 jerkbait boxes out and just have one jerkbait box, and then put my frog stuff in there tomorrow, because this is it happens a lot sooner than some people realize.
Yeah, catching them off the beds on frog is a lot of fun, and I had one for here. I've taken it out of the boat. I think one thing is going to be too windy here for it, but like it's coming quick on that.
Yeah. Well, good deal. All right, man. I'll let you go. It was good hanging out with you. Nice to meet you. Good luck in the Derby, man. We'll be following along.
Appreciate it, man. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on.
Okay. See you later. All right, cool. We're gonna bring Nick in and see what's up with him. What's going on, buddy?
Let's try my staticky.
Yeah, your static. Is it that same laptop?
Yeah, I killed something here and thought I could get it to come on there. I'll pull it up on the phone real quick.
That's the possessed laptop, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe we had the dryer running over here that maybe it was getting a little bit of static in the back of it. But
yeah, there might be too many people with their live scope turned on out in their boat. It's like interfering. Let me make an announcement here while we're. Oh, there you go. I'll pull you up here. Yeah, remove this. Yep, that's a lot better. Hey, turn your phone sideways so we get a full view if you can.
Am I busy?
Can you turn your phone sideways?
Turn it.
Yeah, there you go. Now we got a full screen. It's a lot better. I meant to say it with Barron a while ago, but I forgot.
I ain't got no sound.
You don't have any sound?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Now you're froze up. You can click out of that. Click out of it and click it back in. Maybe it'll bring the sound back in. But while we're waiting on him to get back in here, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
How about that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Awesome, man. Technology. You got to love it.
That's right. We're just trying to get it as clear and crisp as we can. The service down here is a little sketchy.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. It sounds good. Yeah, Hunter was kind of there's like a big delay on Hunter, but I'm just glad you guys aren't in Mexico because we wouldn't be able to do this at all.
Yeah, I copy that.
So what's going on down there? How you feeling about everything? You got a starting spot?
Dude, yeah, I feel good. You know, there's a little hype because I'm from Texas. Well, actually not from Texas, moved to Texas in 2013, but I've been down here a lot. I got a lot of experience. I used to come down here, you know, come back in 2002. So, but most of my waypoints and my good stuff's 30 feet out of the water. So what do you do? You know, back in the day, we'd come down here 5 to 7 day trips, and it would take us 4.5 days to find them. Then we'd get a really good half a day of fishing and really crack on them, you know, and then it was time to go home and come back next year and do it all over again.
Dude, what'd you think about Fork showing out?
Oh my gosh. So I went out Monday. I didn't want to fish too much stuff because I don't like fishing the same water that the other tournament guys are on. You know, obviously I don't want to mess with them too much. And it was good. I mean, it was good Monday. You could tell that it was coming. And I talked to Walters and Cook and stuff when we were at on the river, Logan Martin. And I told them guys, I said, it's going to be disgusting. I said, you're going to catch them. And everybody was pretty stoked to go, but I'm glad it showed out. It's good for the lake. It's good for the area. It's good for the hotels. Just like being down here. I hope we crack them. I hope the fish decide to make a magical move because then people are going to want to come down. It's good for everybody.
Yeah. Well, it's good. There's at least numbers. So it's not going to be it sounds like everybody's going to have a limit. You know, it's just going to be about kind of like a Florida deal where you're going to have 3 keepers, and if you can get 2 big heads in the bag, you're going to be up on top.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think too. I agree.
Yeah. So there is a possibility of, you know, somebody weighing in a 30-pound bag, do you think, or is that out of the question?
The only thing the way I think that is possible is if these fish make this giant move. Mm-hmm. So, you know, everybody knows that fish really don't want to spawn. You know, they'll steer away from it when you got the falling water conditions, and they've been pulling water in this thing like crazy. They dropped it down. It was like 3 inches a day. This is a pretty big lake to drop 3 inches a day. That's moving some water. And they pulled us down 1.5 inches for like 2 to 3 days previous to starting practice. And then by Sunday night, the first day of practice, they had us down to almost a standstill, just neutral water. We were coming up like 100th a day. Well, we've actually came up like 500ths since Sunday night. But now that the world stopped spinning and getting the rugs not being pulled out under their feet, they think about it a little bit. Because you know, like Barron was saying earlier, I noticed the fish on the second day starting to pee a little bit. And then yesterday I noticed the bucks were peeing a little bit. And there's a little bit of love in the air down here. I mean, when we got here, all the bushes and stuff around here on the dry ground were just bare. And now they're all blooming. They're all getting their flowers on them. And when the weesatch, you know, blooms down here and you start getting them little yellow flowers, it's magic time. It is fixing to happen. I've seen it happen. I'm like literally in hours down here. I mean, pass through a cove and come back through a cove a couple hours later and see fish on the beds.
Man, that's cool. So you're gonna have to be paying attention to that. So why are they pulling the water down so much still?
These lakes are for irrigation. I think they do some power generation with these lakes down here, but most of it they're running down there and then they'll hold it. Falcon is below us. It's at 17% full, and they'll put some water in that and they'll hold, and then it runs down to Brownsville because you gotta remember these guys have already had their crops in the field for 2 months, so they got their cabbage and onions and potatoes and stuff's all going down there, and for them to produce the food to sell to us, we gotta give them their water so they get to take whatever they want.
So I'm not familiar with that lake at all. What river's feeding that?
So you got the Rio Grande, which is the main river arm. That's the border of Mexico, Texas. And then you got the Devil's River arm, and then you got some small, maybe San Pedros or Pedros. But anyway, you got basically three little arms, that feed it, and a lot of springs.
Okay, good. I mean, Texas has been struggling for water, but you did get a lot of water last year, I think. Wasn't it towards the fall, if I remember right? You got quite a bit of, maybe not in that area, but
Yeah, we do. But this place makes its own climate. I mean, it's literally the desert, and it'll make its own climate. I mean, one day down here it'll be cold. The next day it's supposed to be. I mean, there's not been a weather forecast that has been spot on since we've been here. They've missed the wind like almost every day. We've had fog. We've had a little misty stuff when it was supposed to be 7%. So I mean, it's been all over the board. I mean, to check the weather down here, you almost got to do it. I mean, literally when you're back in the boat in the water, that's what you're going to get. So, but it has been nice. It's been in the 90s and in the 60s at night, high 50s, low 60s. And when you get the magical thing in Texas this time of year is 3 nights that are warmer than what the current water temperature is. And if you get that combination, everything blooming, I mean, it can fire.
Bass Fanatic is saying the Devil's Arm used to hold the most smallies. Is that still true?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've never came down here and targeted the smallmouth, but I believe it. It's you've heard from everybody else in here tonight too that the water's kind of got this little chalky, milky, and I think it's just the shale on the banks that's decaying, and then a little bit of lapping of the water and the wind kind of mixes it up. The water's just like chalky. So I mean, you can still see in areas of the lakes it's different than others, but as far as, I mean, all the smallmouth I'm catching are, I think every one of them that I've caught have been, I think, in the Rio arm. I don't think I've caught any up the other 2 arms, but man, everybody I've talked to has caught them all around the lake. So
they're just spread out everywhere.
Yeah, they're just not a target fish. They're not the fish that's going to win this thing. If you're fishing for those, you're in trouble.
Does that lake get a lot of pressure?
Used to have a lot of major tournaments. They got a lot of little derbies and stuff down here on the weekends. I remember coming down here in past years, and there'd be fish camps every couple miles on the Mexico side, and you don't see the fish camps. I think I've seen 2 fish camps the whole time I've been here, and I've burnt probably 200 gallons of gas since I've been here on Sunday, looking at everything just to make sure that I didn't leave anything on the table.
Yeah. So what do you think about? I know Al was talking about it not being a forward-facing sonar tournament. You think that's going to be true? Is it? There going to be other things besides sitting out there and looking at them, or are they even out there?
So there's a way of fishing in Texas, and in the wintertime you start out a little deeper, and then the month of February you start fishing the drains, which we call them drains. They call them sonderos. You guys call them creek channels. Just anything that's funneling leading up into the spawning, the flats and the back creeks and stuff like that. And usually you can get in those drains, so you can follow them back, and you can find the fish laying in the drain someplace between point A, which is the main lake or river channel, and B, or C, where they want to be back there, and they're going to spawn and then spend a little time before they come back out. The shad spawn starts, and then they go back in. That all used to be a mystery until the forward-facing sonar. Now everybody kind of really knows what's going on. They can watch it pretty close. But I've done the Texas standard of fishing down here and looked in all those places, and the fish are kind of all over the place. It's like they don't really know where they want to be. It's like some of them want to be up. I think I've got like 5 fish located that I can see. And other than that, it's going to be fishing. I think this is going to be one of the fairest, funnest tournaments, because I believe somebody could come in on day 1 with 10 pounds and drop 20 or 25 the next 2 days and launch right up into the top 3. I think it's going to be a really cool tournament. There's not going to be a ton of just watching guys breaking their necks, looking at the screen. They're going to catch them all. They're going to be doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, tech neck.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that Garmin lawsuit to come out.
Dude, it's bad. I'm guilty of it, just like everybody else. It's cool watching them things swim around and watching them, making them bite. It's fun. I learned a lot from it. We really have.
Yeah, if you want to learn fish behavior and fish movements and get confidence, I mean, the old days of scanning and 2D'ing and then going, okay, I think that's a fish, and then casting 25 times. I mean, now you roll up there and you cast once. So, and they're either there or they're not.
Bass Fanatic has a question. What's gas running down there nowadays? Price of gas?
It's not bad. I think it was like, I haven't paid really close attention because I know I'm going to buy it here regardless, but I think it was in the threes. I mean, diesel's only like $3.49.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not really bad down here. Price of gas in Texas is down there. Of course, we're coming up on an election, and you know how that works. So,
yeah.
Hey, I want to make a little note. You said something earlier about 26 in the field. We do have 26 people that qualified, but we only have 25 that are fishing.
Al said that because one of the competitors has his firstborn child. Is that right?
Yeah, Ryan Satterfield. So
Okay.
he had to stay home. He's dying to come down here. I talked to him earlier, but I think he's just so ecstatic about having that new little girl that I think his choice to stay home is probably the best one he could have done. I'm super happy for him and his little girl and his wife.
Well, that's the right thing to do. As much as we like fishing and as hard as we try, busting our butt all year long to qualify, not me, but as much as you guys have busted your butt to qualify for this championship, the birth of the child only comes one time.
Yeah. I mean, his name's forever going to be on that list of the first 26 anglers that got to fish the NPFL championship, even though he won here. I mean, all of us here are thinking about him and wish he was here. But it's super cool that everything is great and everybody had to leave us home and I'm happy for him.
Yeah. Well, the wife or the girlfriend would probably never let you live that down. Never.
Yeah, his wife. I think by staying home, he probably got a pass for the rest of the year if he wants to fish.
Yeah. Well, you got to do that, man.
Yeah.
You got to keep the peace. I call that keeping the peace, man. It's just part of life.
All right.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any questions in here. What do you think it's going to take to win? I'll ask you that.
You want my
like number one and then number 10.
I think it's going to take an average of 17 a day just because of the cold front and high winds that they're forecasting for Saturday.
Okay.
But if they decide to go to the bank, I think it'll take like 63.
Okay.
I think it'll be like 21 a day or better. They go to the bank.
What about top 10, like that 10th spot? How fast do you think weights are going to fall
off? Somebody asked me that question earlier today, and I think that from 5th place and down, I think it's going to be ounces. I think it's going to be super tight all the way through the field, all the way to the bottom. I think there's going to be guys that average 8 or 9 a day. I think there's going to be guys that go out and I think probably 12 and a half, 13 a day, probably in 10th. I'd say probably 13 to 14 to be in that 5th, 6th place. Would be a pretty safe average. I mean, the fish, the keepers that you catch down there are probably 2 1/4 to 2 1/2. So, I mean, you're sitting at 12 and a half pounds right there. And if you pop a 3 or a 4, now you're at 13 or 14.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to be in I think a 13 to 14 pound average or 13 and a half pound average is probably going to be pretty solid all the way up into the, 5th, 6th, 7th spots.
Is there any grass in that lake? Or is it just rock and timber?
If you watch tomorrow morning, I'll show you.
I'll be watching. I like that answer.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people that look for it. It used to be awesome. You used to come out here and get to 20 foot of water and the grass would be growing up 7-8 feet off the bottom and you crank a crankbait, a Norman or a DT14 down. You crank that thing down there and just stick the tops of the grass and the rod would load up and it was nothing but just big heads coming up and trying not to shake hooks. And when you went out, you had like 5 crankbait rods rigged up. And then, then you'd go punch holes in the grass and there'd be a mesquite tree or a weesatch or whatever bush down there in the bottom and you'd flip down in it and, it would till it set the hook and 65 pound braid. And you'd bring the bush and the grass and the fish and everything all up at one time. We used to call it combat fishing when you come down here because you'd have bruised ribs and forearms, when the trip was over. It was legit. There's still big fish in here. Guys are going to catch them. I know several 8s and 9s that were caught in practice this week. So I didn't catch any of them. I'm kind of glad that didn't happen, but I think you need to save every one of them. But I don't want them guys catching them either, but especially in the next 3 days.
I like the bruised rib days, man. Like you get on a good punch and bite or a good frog and bite or something. You come home and you're sore and you don't really remember why you're sore, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm sore.
Oh yeah, I stabbed myself in the ribs about 15 times today with a 7-Eleven flipping stick.
That's right. That's right. It's either that or the old raw thumb. I'll take either one of them.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But you can go to Fork and do that right now if you can find a spot. I bet you that place is loaded up with people. I bet you can't find a place to stay there right now.
Yeah, I think there was like 10 century belts given away. I don't remember what the number was, but it was ridiculous.
Yeah, if they let more than 10 fish, it'd have been like 25.
Yeah, no doubt. So do you guide on the Fork?
I don't guide so much there as they still let me in a couple of the little derbies there, and I like to fish there, so you can't guide on Fork. I do take a lot of people out and show them kind of, how to use some equipment. I guess I do more educational stuff. I really like to sight fish. I mean, I hang my hat on sight fishing. I love sight fishing. If I can follow that all spring long and do nothing but that, I would 100%. And I enjoy taking people out and teaching them. I teach a lot of high school kids and stuff like that. So I'm sure if I wanted to, I could just go down the list of Facebook messages and make a few phone calls. It wouldn't be hard to be booked right now on Fork for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
Yeah.
That's kind of like OH Ivy when that thing blew up a couple of years ago. If you were in the area and you had a boat, you could make some money pretty quick by taking people out.
Yeah, that's
what's going on.
Yeah, it's $1,000 return if you want to go play that game over there. And I think some of them are still charging that. But we got a lot of good lakes that don't get talked about other than Fork that can produce the same kind of bags, and the guys keep them quiet over there. But I think one of these days I'll probably get to some of those other lakes, and it's just like this thing. I mean, the minute it filled up, it didn't take no time at all, and it was good. And it don't take nothing but one good hurricane. This thing just filled up like overnight. It seems like. It'll be out of its max. So, but we just haven't had any of them in the right spot, for a while.
Here's Aaron says anything forward facing. I don't know. I wasn't even going to bring any of this up, but
man, we ain't scared of nobody.
Yeah, it's like man, I get so tired of talking about this. It comes up all the time on the live streams, and I'm actually going to do a stream probably in a couple of weeks about the basically the myths of fishing that have been revealed with forward-facing sonar. Things that we thought fish were doing for all these years because they were just educated guesses. We were just, assuming because we caught fish in this area that they were doing a certain thing. But, with this technology, we've learned that fish do a lot of different things that we didn't think they were doing. It's kind of made liars out of a lot of us.
Yeah, man, I'll do it. I call it Plan B. I'll do everything, and then I rotate to that the last. Or if the tournament suits that style of fishing, I'll do it for 8 hours a day. But if I can flip, pitch, sight fish, or run a frog, I'm going to do that way before I do any forward facing sonar stuff. But it's not that I don't like it. I enjoy it. I got it on the boat. Got 2 of them on the boat. I think they're legit. I think they're a learning tool. I think if you just absolutely hate it, then you should not have any electronics on your boat, because whether you've got that or you got side imaging or down imaging, you're still using electronics. So it's just the best available electronic piece of equipment that you can have, to get the best knowledge out of it. So if you want to judge your learning curve, fine. If you're old and sour about it, then fine. How many young people have you heard say anything about not liking it?
Right.
It's all the old school guys that don't like it. Well, if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. That's your choice. So, but like I said, there's always a hubbub, whether it's, the other 2 leagues or our league, about whether we should have it or not have it. And I don't know, man, I think it's a fishing style. If I could beat Patrick sight fishing and he's out live scoping, man, that feels pretty good, but, I'll do that any day of the week. I don't care what they do. Everybody's got their own style of fishing, and if that's what they want that's what they want to do, then more power to them.
Yeah, I agree with that. We all, it's a, man, so what? You're catching fish, you're having fun. If you're a tournament fisherman doing what you're doing, you gotta have it. It's a no-brainer. You got to learn how to, you're years behind if you're not dialed in on it now. I mean, it's such an important tool, and plus, you got to be within 100 foot of a fish to see it, unless you got the LBS 62 or whatever. So you got to know where to look. You still got to know seasonal patterns. The average person. I mean, it does cut down the learning curve. You got
to make them bite. If you think just because you see it and you throw at it, it's going to bite, you bumped your head. That's, they don't just bite because you see them. I think people think that that's what's happening, but all these guys can tell you that 100% is not the deal. You still have to have some skill. These guys that got their casting down and got their techniques and their tricks and to catching them is no different than my sight fishing tricks or how I fish a frog or, Barron Adams and his rattle trap. I hate throwing that stupid thing. And he throws it everywhere we go, and he hurts my feelings every time we come in after practice, and he's catching them on it. So I can't hold a candle to some people when they do stuff, and just because I ain't as good at it as they are doesn't mean I'm gonna look down on them because that's what they want to do. I'm just gonna be glad that I beat them at their own game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, what Aaron's saying, you got 8 hours to get 5 bites, and you throw it 100 fish to get 5 bites. Well, he's saying it's not that hard. Aaron, with all due respect, I don't agree with what you're saying, because I've had it a lot. I've had it enough to go, and I've used it enough to know that it's not what you're saying every time. There's days when maybe the fish are set up and they're aggressive and it is a lot easier, but more times than not, it requires a lot of adjustments, a lot of little minute tweaks, and you gotta, like you said, it's a technique, it's a style, and you've got to put in the time to learn what you're looking at, reading the fish behavior, knowing what baits to choose, making profile changes. Do you need to go big? Do you need to go more finesse? Do you need an 1/8 ounce head? Do you need a 3/4 ounce head? Is it a reaction strike? Do they want it floating? Like, do they want it, hover strolling, or do they want it flying past them? There's so many different
everything you just said is related to bank fishing and power fishing down the bank. Do they want that frog moving? Do they want it stopped? Do they want that crankbait burning and grinding? Do they want it pumped? Do they want that spinnerbait pulsing and rolling over a log and dead sticking it and letting it fall? Do they want that Senko, wacky? So what's the difference between what you just said and doing it on the forward facing sonar? We're applying all the same techniques. It's just offshore. And yeah, he says it's not that hard, but let me ask Aaron this question. What lake does he live on?
Yeah, he's up in New York.
Come to Lake Fork, go to Lake Lanier. You go to Lake Lanier and tell me how easy it is in the summertime. After them fish have seen it on every brush pile, and you watch 50 fish chase your stuff out there and you can't get them to commit to nothing. So I'm telling you, there's places in this world that it's easy. We go up to Saginaw Bay and those fish don't see it. They don't see those techniques. And yeah, it's a little easier up there. We go, maybe Mille Lacs or someplace like that and chase smallmouth, probably a little easier because there ain't quite as many people doing it. But you come to Lake Fork or something where there's thousands of people a weekend fishing and they're all trying it and they're all pinging off a fish and they're all making boat noises and everything else. It gets harder and harder. I started it 4 years ago when nobody was doing it out there, and I was like winning and top 2 and 3 every event I fished, and nobody had a clue what I was doing, and it was easy because nobody was doing it yet. So yeah, I agree. I think lakes in your region and how much pressure they get there is a huge, decision maker on that.
Yeah, I think like Stephanie was saying, why does everyone use it if it's not that hard? No disrespect, she saw them on Fork. I think probably the hardest thing is people that have fished a certain way for 30 or 40 years, leaving that behind and learning to just trust the forward facing sonar and not get pulled to your old ways of fishing. That to me, that's something that has been the most difficult thing to integrate into my fishing. Is I want to do it for a little bit, but then I want to go back to my power fishing or the ways that I grew up fishing, and the guys that are the best at fishing with forward facing sonar, they're in 100% of the time. You know, they go to a lake, they drop the trolling motor, or they scan, and they're looking for that bite, and they're able to integrate it shallow now. You know, that's something that they're finally people are just starting to talk about. You didn't hear much about that, but I know I've talked about this on the stream before, but last year at Kentucky Lake, there was guys catching spawning smallmouth in 3 feet of water off of stumps in the back of the flats and stuff. And that was like, well, it was kind of a big deal. It kind of threw people off, but people have been doing that for a while. They just haven't been talking about it. So it's not just sitting out over 50, 60, 70 feet, throwing a little jig head minnow at suspenders out there. It's also sitting up shallow in 3 or 4 feet of water. And it's the people that are really, really dialed in on that. They're able to use it in 80 foot of water, but they're able to slide up and catch spawning fish. So that's their go-to technique. They're looking for that in any way they go. So they put in the time, they put in the hours.
So you think about it this way, you just made a really good point. If you have a couple old boys that used to fish local derbies with you, and they've got a stump, or they've got a brush pile, or they've got a creek channel swing with some eroded root, balls on it, and they know they could pull up there in January and they could throw a black and blue jig on it, and they could bring in 25 pounds every time. They've been doing it for 8 or 10 years, and nobody's figured it out. Then the first guy that went out there and zoomed up that same creek channel with a live or with forward-facing sonar, popped his root ball. What took him years and years and years to figure out, and finally figure out why and how to catch him and what he thought he knew, now is just like on the table for everybody. There's a lot of secrets. I don't think there's any secrets on a lot of these lakes anymore, just because of the forward-facing sonar. I think it's, crappie guys get mad because all the brush piles get found. They're just to find brush piles and stuff now. I mean, used to, we'd go around and graph for them and find them on side imaging and stuff. And you'd mark one and you would fish just that one. Well, now that you got sonar, like on Rayburn, you stop down there on one brush pile and you scan around in a circle. There's able to be 25 that you didn't even realize were there until you got up there and you scan around a circle. And it's like, holy cow, these guys have been dragging them out here for years. So I think there's a lot of stuff these guys took a lot of time to learn, and a lot of pawpaw fishing and dragging worms and things like that has been destroyed or has been brought to the public's eye because of the sonar and just seeing it in live time. And people, I think forward-facing sonar, the guys that are using, they just understand what they're looking at. You know what I mean? I think half the people out there that are bass fishing on a boat probably still don't really know how to read their side imaging or their down imaging. They see a picture and they got a pretty good idea, but I can probably name a dozen guys that don't even really know what a fish looks like on side imaging. Mm-hmm. So, and that's when you drop the trolling motor and spin it around, it's like, oh, yep, that's a fish, and your confidence goes through the roof. So,
yeah, I would agree. And here's a question for you: do you think that it's making the fish tougher to catch when they do go up shallow? Because let's say you're in a fishery where the fish typically suspend. They pull out off the bank and they suspend in the cold water period from, I don't know, like November to early March. And then they make their way up shallow to spawn. Well, in 5, 6, 7 years ago, those fish were sitting out there not really getting messed with. But now there's people out there throwing jerk baits and jig minnows at them all winter long, and they're getting hooked. So when they come up shallow, are they more educated? Obviously they're more educated, so they may be theoretically they would be harder to catch. What do you think about that?
My answer to that is yes. I think their time of rest being out offshore is smaller than what it used to be because guys can target those fish now. But to be honest with you, I don't know if it's being zapped or being caught that does it. I think it's the boat. It's the boat presence, because I've literally pulled up to piles that I know there's fish in, see it at 100 feet away, turn the thing off, or pause it, or completely steer it to a different direction. Cast blindly at that pile, and it's like the fish still leave. It's like as soon as you get close enough, even though you're not shooting a pile, and then right before you leave, you hit it. And the fish left. I 100% think a lot of it is just there's so much clicking and banging. If you've ever gone underneath the water when somebody's in a boat and heard it. It is just nothing but a ton of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Live wells are loud. If you listen to our cameras, like when some of us are filming on the water, and we got like the poles and the back pedestals, so you can hear our live wells running, you can hear the pumps running, you can hear the transducers clicking, and you can hear that in a GoPro or in a Garmin camera or whatever you got clear up above the deck of the boat. Imagine what that sounds like being transferred down through the water.
The trolling motor, when you hit the trolling motor, you can hear it.
Yeah, every squeak, every time it clicks, and we're going after a fish that you can be in 40 feet of water. You can throw a 8-ounce, pinging minnow out there and it hits the top of the water and he'll come rocketing off the bottom out of 40 feet of water because he heard it up there in stained water that he can't even see and smash it.
Yeah.
So if he can hear that all the way up there, go pink in the water, you don't think he can hear everything that you're doing? I think it's boat presence. I think if guys would be quieter and stuff, like when I go shallow, most of the time, if I'm on fork and I'm in an area where there's a lot of sight fish, I don't put my trolling motor down. I turn everything off in the boat. And I push the pole I use a push pole and pull the boat around. And I will catch way more fish than those guys. And it's just, when I'm doing that, just because I'm sneaking up on them and they're not all freaked out because somebody come crashing into every stump in there and banging off of stuff. And I mean, when you walk into the deer woods, you don't slap into everything and drag your feet through the leaves. You sneak in there and sneak out. I mean, if you really think about bass fishing, like being in the hunting woods, it's all the same. I mean, it's the same drains, it's the same trails, it's the same draws, the same brush piles, the same hideouts. When the wind's blowing, they hunker down. It's just a lot of that's relatable. And you wouldn't do that when you're hunting. Why would you do that when you're fishing?
I think that's one of the things that kayak anglers have over a bass boat is the stealth. They're super stealthy. They can just especially if you got a paddle. I mean, there's no electronic noise at all. It's just, if you're an old school kayak fisherman and you don't have all the side scan and forward facing sonar and all that, and you're still paddling around, or even the pedal drive.
Yeah,
I've been on our local lake, man. I know a couple of those kayakers over there, and there's been days where I've been struggling, and they've been just crushing them. And I know a lot of it is because they're able to just they're able to get up there super shallow and go places where we really can't go. And then when they are getting into those places, they're super quiet. They're not making any noise.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying.
It's a long time ago, back in the day, like when Jimmy Houston was probably date myself, when he was still doing his original TV shows and stuff coming out, and you'd visit with him and you'd see him around places. But back in the day, he was self-conscious about the noise and about putting the fish back. He thought if you caught a fish, you stay on a plastic worm or whatever out of a group of fish, he would put that fish in the live well until he was done catching them. Then he would release them, even on his private ponds or lakes or wherever he was at, because he believed when he cut them loose and turned them back out there that, that they would cause those fish to quit biting. So, I mean, if he was self-conscious back then, when there wasn't one truck or two trucks at the boat ramp, I mean, and look at it now, and the amount of people that do it, there's a lot to be said about, what the old timers did back in the day, and still follow by some of those rules and just being super self-conscious about, what you're doing when you're fishing.
Yeah. And there's the pheromone aspect, when a being caught, they put out that pheromone that kind of alerts the rest of the school. I've seen that. You're just whacking them, and then pretty soon, man, unless it's
a smallmouth and all 30 of them come up there and hide in the shadows underneath of your boat.
I know.
They don't know any better.
Yeah, I fished a tournament, BFL at Table Rock a couple of weeks ago, and I got to practice with a buddy of mine. And he's really good at scoping and throwing a little Demiki rig and stuff out there deep. And I was fishing out the back of the boat in the tournament as co-angler, and it's been kind of a hot topic lately about co-anglers getting stuck with a boater that's got forward-facing sonar and then just being hung out to dry in the back of the boat all day long. And so anyway, my whole goal was to get in the boat with somebody that was doing that in practice and try to figure out how I could catch fish behind them. I knew I could catch them up front throwing at the same stuff they're looking at, but that's not going to be how it was going down when the tournament was happening. And I was actually hoping to draw somebody that was out there doing that, because one thing I noticed is when you catch a fish on an A rig and there's a a group. There's a lot of spots. We're catching a lot of spots, like 2.5 pound spots is about an average spot on table rock. And at the back of the boat, you catch 12, 13 pounds and you're probably going to win, or you're going to top 5 for sure. So that's the caliber of fish I was looking for. But as he's catching these fish, he's pulling other fish up to the boat and they're staying underneath the boat. So my strategy, and this is the strategy that he was telling me, he's like, dude, if I was in the back of the boat and you were getting front ended by forward facing sonar, I'd just drop that little Demiki minnow over the side of the boat and hang it down there about 30 or 40 feet and just wait for your boater to pull those fish to the boat. And they're going to be hanging out there right underneath the boat. And you're going to catch 5 if you do that. So I was kind of,
100%.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that I would get that draw. And I didn't. I got a guy that was fishing a jig a little bit slower most of the time out in deeper water. He was still looking at the fish, like he was looking at individual pieces of structure, like concrete blocks or a tree or something, but he was catching them on a jig. And so he wasn't pulling the fish. He wasn't fishing for suspended fish. He was pulling singles off the bottom and stuff. So I never got that opportunity. So I actually got the guy that most of the co-anglers were wanting to fish with, a guy that was, halfway going down the bank. But my mindset was I was hoping I'd get the guy that was pulling the fish to me underneath the boat and I could just drop down on him and catch my 5.
Yeah. It's just the opposite with me. If it's springtime and I draw a co-angler out or something, they got to get in the boat with me and it's a sight fishing derby. They're like, oh, this is going to stink. He's going to be locked out all day. I've always been pretty fair though. I've always liked to see him catch them, and I'll pass the ones I don't need, or, and let them have a shot at them. But I can understand that. I've seen a lot of times where them spotted bass come out and they'll chase your bait in, even drop shot, you'll have 5, 6 of them run up there. And if you take the fish off and throw your rod over the side with 5 feet of line on, you stand back up, the thing's full of drag out,
Yeah. That was kind of going to be my plan, was as I got the net and I'm waiting to net his fish, I was going to just open the bell and flip it out there and let it fall and then stop it and then net the fish for him. And
the old co-angler sneak.
Yeah, the old sneaky flip. Not throw in front of the boat, just drop it. I was going to be respectable about it, but
yeah.
Well, cool, man. Let's wrap this up, dude. It's getting late. I know you guys gotta get up early and get after it. It was cool hanging out with you, and
yeah,
we'll be watching for you. Hopefully you're up there in that 65, 70 pound range.
Yeah, you'll know right off you probably won't know until about 10 or 11 o'clock if that's going to happen. But once the sun pops, I think we got like 8 to 13 mile an hour winds tomorrow. It's going to be a really pretty day, and I think the guys will smash on them pretty good tomorrow, and then, like everybody else is saying, I think it'll taper off unless the forecast is wrong. And then who knows? This is really an undecided tournament for everybody. That's why I think this is really kind of super cool. We got all forms of fishermen down here. So I'm kind of excited to see who pulls it off.
Yeah, it like once Al said that it's not going to be like a forward facing sonar deal totally 100%, that perked my ears up. I'm like, I just like watching live fishing. To me, I learned from all of it. I think it's really cool. And I really like the way that NPFL is integrated the screenshot. If somebody is, using forward facing sonar, that's cool. I think that's beneficial for people there's a lot of people that are not getting pulled back into this topic again, but there's a lot of people that are anti forward facing sonar because they haven't really seen it and they don't quite understand it. So I think that's a good way to at least teach some of the people what's going on. What are these anglers actually looking at, and see how exciting it can be to watch your little bait and watch a fish come up and grab it, and also see how many times the fish don't come up there and grab it.
I think that if they come shallow, I think you're going to see more and more of this perspective stuff, like Scott pulled off at Okeechobee. We've been doing that for about 2 years, and that kind of did not help much. Palmer did it, and then he did it, and at Fork we were doing it. We'd run glide baits down the bank, and we'd get a fish to roll, and then once we got that fish to roll, we'd drop the poles and we'd start scanning until we seen her, and then we would catch her, unseen sight fishing with the forward facing sonar. And we've kind of all kept it hush for a little bit. There's, but once you're going to win a tournament and you're on camera, you can't stop what you're doing to win. So it is what it is. It's out there, but there could be a little bit of that if they decide to move up. That could, that more perspective thing could start to pull off a little bit too. So I hope that that's the case this week. So
yeah, it'll be cool. I'll ask you the same last question. I'll ask you the same question that I asked your roommate. If you had 2 hours to fish and you can go out and catch fish on anything, what would that be?
It'd be a tough decision between. I mean, I love the sight fish because I can choose my side of the fish and I can choose how fast I catch them. But I really love a frog bite.
Yeah.
So
with you on that.
Yeah.
That
it's
visual
frog bite's pretty hard to beat.
I think 90% of the people would go with some sort of a topwater if they had, the option to catch them on a topwater. It's just whether it be a frog or a spook or whatever.
You're still looking at them. So whether you're looking at them on the bottom, you're looking at them on a topwater, or you're looking at them on the screen, you're still looking at them.
True. True.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're gonna wrap this up. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us, and like I said, good luck over the next couple of days.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on here. I'm glad you guys are doing this so you can kind of get to know some of the anglers, Barron and me tonight, and then Hunter. He's awesome. If you ever think you're having a bad day, look at that dude. That dude's never down. So he's somebody to think about, when you're out there fishing, and man can catch him. So he's with me a couple times for sure. So
yeah, I was actually thinking about that when I came home from Lake of the Ozarks. We had a bad tournament. I had my tail between my legs, and then Al was sending me the contact information for the guests that we were going to have on tonight, and I thought about Hunter, and I'm like, no, I got nothing to be down about. It's
no, watch.
And it's inspirational.
There's nothing that stops him. He's inspirational, dude. He gets with it. He's fluid. How fast he does his stuff. How he rotates through his rods and stuff. It ain't any different than me or you. I met Clay Dyer a long time ago, and was in the same pocket watching that guy fish, and I mean just as fluid, and dude, always happy. So never grouchy, never just super down or got the woe is me's, just happy to be there, and that's the kind of people I enjoy fishing with. I don't like the people that are always down about the lakes or about where we're at, because we're all just glad to be fishing, I think.
That's right. Fishing's supposed to be fun, man. It's supposed to be uplifting.
100%.
All right, man. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
All right, cool. Let's give something away. Thanks to everybody that hung out with us. We still got almost 40 people here, which is cool. It's cool to meet these people. It's awesome that we've got an avenue to meet a lot of these NPFL fishermen, because a lot of them are new faces to me. Some of them we know of, but a lot of these guys are people that aren't in the spotlight yet. They're all really, really good fishermen. They just haven't had their day in the sun yet. So it's cool. I'm super curious. It's exciting to know that there's going to be a lot of power fishing over the next couple of days. Okay. Yeah. I keep seeing this, Aaron. There is no qualification for the NPFL. They take, I believe there was 126 anglers this year. I think they were trying to get to 130 or 135. I'm not sure. Al has talked about that before, but it's a pay to play right now. That could change in the future. I don't know. But as of now, it's just, there's no qualification. It's just a pay to play. Now, for the championship, which is going to be happening over the next couple of days, it starts tomorrow. That is the top 26 anglers that qualified last year. So this is a qualification tournament. And the cool thing is you got 26, well, it's 25 now, but they're fishing for $100,000, which that's pretty good odds. I mean, that's a pretty good odds for fishing for that high, and it's an entry fee. It's entry free. So yeah, let's give away $25 Baitworks gift card. I'm just going to do the hashtag thing. Let me get this set up here. I'm going to share this screen. And I also wanted to say before we do this, thanks to each and every one of you guys out there that comes on here and spends time with us on these streams. If there's new faces on here, we normally do this at Tuesday night. It's normally Tuesday night at 8 p.m., but we had to push it back because the NPFL anglers had their banquet last night, and it was like from 5 to 9. So that's why today was their off day. So that's why it happened on Wednesday. But the normal day is Tuesday. Like I said, I see some new faces on here. So thanks. I don't say it enough. I think it a lot, but I just don't say it enough. Really, really appreciate all the people that leave comments, that interact with the videos and stuff, and definitely come on here and do the live streams. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, there's so many streams out there now. There's every day somebody's starting a new live stream or a new YouTube channel, and I'm seriously, sincerely, it's awesome that you guys hang out with us for a couple hours. And questions are always good. The comments are always good, and nothing but love for y'all. So let me see here. Let's see what we've got. Okay, we are going to do the hashtag. Don't do it yet. I got to start collecting comments. Okay, hashtag Bigfoot, and get your hashtag in there, and then we'll do the random generator thing. This is going to be for $25 Baitworks gift card. And also, you can see it scrolling there in the ticker. If you go to Baitworks, it's that time of year. You need to start stocking up on tackle. Use the code THM10. It gets you 10% off your order at Baitworks. And it's set up now, from what I understand. It's not just your first order. It's 10% off your order from now on. So people that have used the code before, I encourage you to go back in there and use it again, because it should work. If it does not work, let me know. Let me know. I'll make a phone call and see if I can get that thing figured out. I'm going tomorrow. I'm excited to get out there tomorrow. I'm going to try to get there really early. I'm only going to have a half day to get back and pick up the kids from school, but I'm going to get out there as early as possible. Me and Finley are going to get out there, and I'm going to try to get a spinnerbait bite. I got some new spinnerbaits from E-Factor that look really good. I'm going to sling those things around, maybe get a chatterbait, and I'm going to put my frog box back in the boat, try to catch a frogfish. It's kind of like Uncle Ron and JB and I, we had a couple of years ago. It's not like a annual thing, but there was like 2 or 3 years in a row where we were trying to see who could catch the first topwater fish. And I won it a couple of years in a row, but I had a little farm pond, so it's kind of cheating because farm pond warms up a lot faster than like the public lakes. Yeah, Darius, they don't mess around. I think if you get your order in by 1 o'clock, it ships the same day, and they're honestly their shipping is very, very fast. It's almost overnight, or it's going to be like 2 days if they're in Springfield, Missouri. So if you're ever in Springfield, Google Baitworks, go by there and check out the place. They got a ton of stuff. But if you're in the Midwest, I'm like 5 hours away from Springfield. I literally get it the next day or the following day. It's super fast. They don't mess around. And if you get your order in by, I think it's 1 o'clock, it goes out the same day. And they're always running specials, like kind of flash sale stuff. So I encourage you to get on their Facebook page. Just follow the Facebook page, follow the Instagram account. And they're always like, they just had a 20% off A-rigs last week. 20% off. It's pretty solid. But they've had some DT, some Rapala stuff, striking stuff. It's just random things that go on. They've had Virtus rods on sale, 20% off. You just gotta get on the socials and see what's happened for the week. Okay, I'm gonna give this like 30 more seconds. Get the hashtag Bigfoot in there, and we'll give away the Baitworks gift card. Next week, I don't know what we got going on. I got a couple options lining up. I've got some really cool ideas that I'm going to be putting together. We may have the winner of the NPFL championship on next week. Probably, if we do that, I like to get that first and second, and maybe first, second, third. It's always cool to, like that stream we did with Will Harkins and Brock Bila, the first and second place on the Logan Martin tournament. That was cool to hear their perspectives, what they found. Just they bounced ideas off each other, and kind of, it was cool to see the top 2 finishers break down their practice and their actual tournament. So I think I'm going to talk to Al, but if it's possible to get the maybe first, second, third place winner of the NPFL championship, that would be really cool. I got something lined up with Drew Gill. We're going to do a pretty cool thing that I think you guys will like. And I know he rooms with Matt Steffen, so it's possible that Steffen will be on there too during that stream. And then I've got some team best teams of all time type of thing streams. I'd like to get a couple guys that have fished together, like some different teams, and get both of the teammates on here and talk about team tournament fishing, because that's something that a lot of us do. What makes a good team partner? Have you had any, like, have you punched each other, threw each other out of the boat? That kind of crap. Just good stories. I think it'd be kind of cool. So let's do this. Let's draw this sucker. Here we go. Ha! Darius. All right, Darius, get a hold of me. And I'm going to get down there and jump on the boat with you, man. You're only 2 hours away. I need to jump in the boat with Darius, because I got a lot to learn down there. All right. That's it. Unless you guys got anything else for me. Any last minute questions? Hope everybody gets out in the water. We got some rain coming, a little bit of cold front type stuff, but it's spring, man. The groundhog called it. You know, that groundhog's like, I always think he's lying, but he said it's springtime, and he was right. So thanks, Stephanie. I'm gonna go try that Credge, that Berkeley jerkbait with the upside down bill. I did order some of those from Baitworks. I have not thrown them yet. I think I might go out there and throw that sucker around a little bit. You're welcome. Congratulations, Terrace. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for hanging out. We do this every week, Tuesday. Go check out Baitworks. And like I said earlier, thank you for hanging out and spending time with us this evening and supporting the channel. So, adios, and until next.